Is this massive AI boom we're seeing a giant financial bubble just waiting to pop? Or is it the beginning of a whole new industrial revolution? That's the huge question at the heart of technology right now, and that's what we're going to unpack today. And you've seen this everywhere, right? It's like this constant whiplash. One minute you're reading about how it's all just hype, a bubble about to burst. The next you're hearing that AI is going to fundamentally transform the world as we know it. It's dizzying. So what is really going on here? To get to the bottom of it, you really have to look at both sides of the argument. So let's start with a compelling case that this is all just one massive overheated bubble. And when you look at the case for a bubble, well, the numbers are just mind-boggling. They paint this picture of an industry with these sky-high valuations that feel completely disconnected from any actual, profit or returns. It has all the classic signs of a speculative frenzy. Let's just take OpenAI, the company that brought us ChatGPT. Their valuation? $500 billion. I mean, just let that number sink in. That's an astronomical figure for a company in an industry where, let's be honest, the path to actually making money is still pretty unclear. And if you think that's wild, it gets even crazier. A report from Bain & Company calculated that AI companies need to find an extra, get this, $2 trillion in new revenue every single year just to pay for the new data centers they're building. To put that in perspective, that is more than the entire GDP of Canada. And Wall Street is completely all in. Since ChatGPT launched back in late 2022, AI-related stocks have been responsible for a staggering 75% of the S&P 500's returns. That means a tiny handful of companies are essentially propping up the entire stock market. Now, this kind of risk has not gone unnoticed. We're talking about the world's top financial institutions sounding the alarm. You've got the Bank of England, the IMF, the CEO of America's biggest bank. They're all drawing direct lines to the dot-com crash, basically warning everyone that a lot of this money is just going to be completely wasted. But all this money is flowing in, so where's the return? Well, a pretty shocking MIT report found that 95% of organizations saw literally zero return on their investment in generative AI. That's billions and billions of dollars spent with no real impact on the bottom line. And then, if you look at the investments themselves, things start to look a little strange, almost circular. Like you've got NVIDIA investing $100 billion in OpenAI. Meanwhile, Microsoft, a huge shareholder in OpenAI, accounts for nearly 20% of NVIDIA's revenue. It's this complicated web where it's hard to tell where real value is being created. So when you add it all up, you've got the insane spending, the tiny returns, the weird circular financing, and warnings from the highest levels of the financial world. The argument for a bubble seems incredibly strong. It really feels like it's a matter of when, not if, it's going to pop. But here's the twist. While Wall Street is freaking out about valuations and money, the underlying technology itself, well, it doesn't care. And it's moving forward at an absolutely breathtaking pace. So let's look at the other side of this. Because if you just forget the stock market for a second and look into the actual AI labs, you see a totally different picture. There is a fierce technological race happening, and it's producing genuine, world-changing breakthroughs month after month. I mean, the competition between places like OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google has become what people are calling a model war. You've got GPT-5 acing university-level math tests. You've got Claude autonomously coding and solving software problems. And Gemini can analyze video natively. These are not small incremental steps. They are massive leaps. And this graph shows you just how fast this is all happening. The MMLU benchmark tests for expert-level knowledge across dozens of subjects. In just 2 years, AI models have gone from a score of 38% to over 83%. They're already performing better than the average human expert and are getting dangerously close to the very best. And listen, this isn't just about passing exams. This technology is having a profound impact on science right now. It helped win a Nobel Prize by solving the protein folding problem, something scientists were stuck on for 50 years. It's accelerating quantum computing, improving weather forecasts, mapping the human brain. The progress is absolutely real and it's spectacular. So now we're left with these two powerful but totally conflicting stories. On the one hand, you've got what looks like a classic speculative financial bubble, and on the other, a genuine technological revolution. How can both of these things possibly be true at the same time? Well, the answer might be that bubble or breakthrough is just the wrong question.
Because if you look back at history, you start to see a pattern. The most transformative technologies, they often look exactly like bubbles in the beginning.
Think about it for a second. Railroads, the internet, even cars. The pattern is almost always the same. First, you get a speculative frenzy, a ton of overinvestment. Then you get a painful crash, and a lot of companies go bankrupt. But, and this is the crucial part, the technology itself doesn't go away. It keeps getting better, and eventually it reshapes the entire world. The bubble pops, but the revolution continues. But that brings us to a much more critical question, one that some researchers are starting to ask. Even with all this amazing progress, are we actually building what we think we're building? Are we even on the path to creating true intelligence? So let's just look at the dictionary definition of intelligence. The ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skills. That first word is key, acquire. But almost all of our AI benchmarks today, they test the ability to apply knowledge that's already been crammed into the system, not the ability to acquire it. And that is a huge, huge difference. See, the main approach right now is just to scale everything up. Bigger models, more data. But that creates an AI whose knowledge is basically frozen in time the moment its training stops. It can't learn and adapt from new experiences the way you and I do. So here's the really crucial point. We're building these incredible, all-knowing pattern-matching machines, but we might be on a fundamentally different path from the one that leads to agents that can actually learn and grow and adapt in real time. The whole goal of creating an all-knowing agent might actually be flawed from the very beginning. So if we just stay on this path we're on, just making models bigger, more capable, better at applying all their baked-in knowledge, where does that actually lead? Well, a lot of the top AI researchers have laid out what they call the default path. Okay, so the path looks something like this. We start with our current models. The next big step is artificial general intelligence, or AGI, an AI that can do any intellectual task a human can. But from there, things get crazy. Those AGIs can start designing even better AIs, creating a cycle of recursive self-improvement. That could lead to a rapid intelligence explosion and the creation of artificial superintelligence, or ASI. And I know, this sounds like science fiction, but that quote isn't from a movie. It's from a statement signed by the very people building this technology, the CEOs of the top AI labs, leading researchers, Nobel laureates. They are the ones warning us that this default path could pose an existential risk. The problem, when you boil it all down, is actually pretty simple. We're getting incredibly good at making AI systems more and more powerful. What we have not figured out is how to reliably control them, how to make sure they always do what we want them to do. Our ability to create this power is rapidly outpacing our ability to control it. So maybe this whole debate over the AI bubble is actually a distraction. Maybe the real question isn't bubble or breakthrough. Maybe the real question is, what kind of future are we building? And maybe even more importantly, are we actually in control?